build the house so she could go walk up to her family. They're her friends. She goes, I'm gonna take a picture of your house in the street, okay? Okay.
Hey, everybody.
We zooming? We zooming here. Probably leave it out. But anyway, I felt bad about it.
But this one message you can make.
Laura?
So when you list the house, to do both. And you know, now people. I gotta learn what it is.
It doesn't upload everything.
Not, but it does put all the details.
Yeah.
And the scheduling.
No, I think you-
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Schedule sometime, yeah.
Documents you got to still load up in here.
That and some of the pictures, sometimes you got 39 pictures, for example.
You got to.
You may only upload 36, you have to find out the three that didn't.
But it should.
It's a problem.
You guys can hear me?
And then copies of it, and I can all do it.
Yeah. If you in geology MLS or something, I give that, but the rebind, it will just say what, put this in both sections and then fill it out. They have some different little places where you gotta see different things, but it's really nice and they might do it that way.
Okay.
Definitely MLS remind, it just puts all your data over, all your.
Yes, what happens when the annex concession coordinator?
Oh, you got it. I gotta say, every time I got.
Gotcha, no, I definitely. For different reasons, I do need it, I do need one.
Yeah, I could have, but do it, I agree.
No, however, once he inputs everything in there and all that, and I'll tell him do this, every couple of days, hey, this changes. I go in there between change that, so.
Okay, cool. So I am ready. Thank you for your patience. All right, so this is my class, the art of door knocking. I didn't have time to create any slides, so I was kind of making notes as I was driving. I've been extremely busy. I got a listing that I actually got door knocking, but I had to clean out because, again, so when you find a house door knocking, typically it's not market ready because the people weren't planning to move. So you'll see those houses where they'll need paint, sometimes they'll need carpet, sometimes, I mean, it's just a slew of things that you can run into versus having somebody that's already like, hey, I want to move. Now, I have got houses, my very first house ever that I got as a listing door knocking, it was in Terrence with his subdivision. He stays in Dunwoody. And I knocked on the door and I was like, hey, I know a bunch of people who want to live in this area. Have you ever thought about selling? And the dude like slammed the door and then he like opened it back up and he was like, we just bought a house and we're getting ready to move. And there was boxes all along the house and it was ready to go. So I mean, very rare you don't get those, but the majority of the time, the house is gonna be rough. Like this house, her daughter was staying there. She was gonna retire here. She decided not to. So she put the house up for sale. We had to paint it. We had to do the floors. Like I literally just left because my photographer was there. So I could vacuum the whole house. The daughter moved out, left a bunch of furniture. I had to pull couches down the stairs. So yeah, today was a wild day. So if I'm a little dirty right now, forgive me. But, yeah, door knocking, the first thing I want to talk about is just etiquette. Because I know a lot of people say, oh, should I wear a suit? But like if you wear a suit, people are going to think you're a Jehovah's Witness. They're probably not going to answer the door. I'm just being real. So for me, even recently, like I've been going in just my people's agent hat, in a hoodie. I don't have as many sleeve shirts. Shirts, I just put my hoodies back on. I like going, a lot of people hate, especially my teammates, they hate going when it's too hot outside. I like going when it's hot because people feel bad for you and they open the door, especially if you're outside sweating. Yeah. So, yeah.
Some water.
Yeah. Where you bring an umbrella, I mean, it's up to you. I like to go casual. You don't want to seem too salesy. My other thing for etiquette, I would say, is when you knock, back up. Like I knock on the door, if there's stairs, I'll go down a few steps. If there's like, if this is the door, I knock, I back all the way up. So that way people don't perceive it as a threat. Like you know, they'll open the door. Sometimes you'll
Yeah.
get people that talk to you through the window, from the door. Typically I bring these, so this is Short Factor. I think you can get like 500 for like 250 bucks or something like that. They'll put your picture on it and then it just says, you know, find out how much properties are being listed for in your area, learn the recent sales price, get answers. So it's just something where they can contact you and something you can leave on the door. Because a lot of times people won't answer. So it's just like, hey, I'll leave that as a touch. And then, once I do that,
Question, where did you get that through?
so Short Factor, I got the. website
Short
there.
Factor,
Yeah, Short.
Short.
SURE.
already.
Yeah,
Sure factor.
yeah, Short Factor. Yeah, and you can order door hangers. So typically I only leave those if I don't speak with someone, or if I get someone who's talking to me through like the doors and window, I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna leave this down here. Another thing is, you know, depending on your network, for us, like we have a lot of contractors, you know, roofers, always tell people about Todd. So I just kind of find out what they need. So I'll knock on the door and I'll say, hey, you know, I got a bunch of people who want to live in this neighborhood. Have you ever thought about selling? And then they'll say, oh, well, we thought about it. Now, if they say they thought about it, and I'm using HomeSnap the entire time. So I got HomeSnap pulled up over here. I'm not sure how many agents use it. But HomeSnap is a mobile app. It's like a better version of Zillow, you know, but it's more accurate. The reason I like it is because it has a favorites option. And when you go on HomeSnap, I can't show you from the computer, but it has like a GPS button, so you can see exactly where you are in the neighborhood. And it can pull like the owners. It's like a rewind, basically. But what I do is, if I talk to someone who gives me conversation or even hints that they may sell, I favorite them on the HomeSnap app. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, good question. So is HomeSnap free there?
Yeah. So,
Because Landline is $99 a year and it does give you all the information too.
Right,
So
right.
it's-
so they have a HomeSnap Pro, which gives you more information.
Right.
So I signed up for it. I think it was like $800 for 2 years or something like that. I don't know, but I left my card on there and they charged me, and then I was gonna cancel it. But then it has so many tools, so it shows you who bought houses for cash, it shows you how much equity, Remind to show you this too.
Right.
But showing you how much equity, how long people been there, type, you know, most likely to sell, least likely to sell. But when I talk to somebody, I'm favored in that house. So then later, when I go back home, I'm going on Amcards, which I also have up here.
What's it called? Amcar?
Oh, I didn't open it yet. Yeah, so it's called Amcards, and Amcards lets you send handwritten notes. But they look handwritten. I think there's no printing. But it's like, I think $3 or $4 a card. So what I'll do is, I'll door knock them, I'll save the house, and then I'll get home and I'll send them an M card. And I just got a quick little document that I used, and it just says something like, you know, thank you for talking to me today while I was in your neighborhood. I look forward to turning this this short conversation into a lifelong friendship. You know, if you need anything, reach out to me, XYZ, just like a quick little touch. But people really seem to like that. And then typically, it depends on how hot the person is. If they're like, hey, I want to sell ASAP, I'm like, okay, perfect. Let's schedule a day where I can come back with my inspector. So on all my appointments, I'm coming back with my inspector, and I'm having my inspector give them a free inspection. So I worked out with my inspector, where I can get her to do a walkthrough for like $75. And, you know, so it costs me money, but again, people like when you show up, yeah, the inspector is going through the house. Again, so you don't have to tour the house with them, and you're just getting to know them. So we're just having regular conversation, you know.
So you pay the $75 for the quick inspection?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a 30-minute thing?
Yep, so she checks everything, so it's pretty thorough. But I just pay, you know, the pre-inspection, people like free. And it just looks really good, like we're sitting there talking, the inspector's going up, she'll come back and say, hey, you got this, this, and this wrong. And then I'll say, hey, I got a contractor for this. Now, if I knock and they say, you know, I don't need anything, then I'm just like, hey, well, do you know anyone else? That is a very important question, because the listing I just got in Stockbridge, I door knocked this one house, and he said, I'm not trying to sell right now. And I was like, do you know anybody else who is? And he was like, yeah, that guy down there. And then, you know, I went and for sure, that guy is listed with me. So always ask, especially if it's a tight knit neighborhood, because, you know, people talk to each other and they know what's going on in each other's lives. So I ended up listing his house, and now I got another neighbor who's talking about listing. But once I sold the first house on Sprayberry, I would door knock with the offers in my hand. So even on this one, I got 7 offers. So I'm gonna print them all out, and I'm gonna go back Saturday and I'm gonna say, hey, I got 6 other people waiting to buy a house. Like I had
Right.
7 people who wanted to buy this one. We can only sell it once. You know, are you ready to sell? Oh, go ahead. You got a question?
No, I
Oh,
was, so
okay.
you had.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is just, you know, money talks, like people, if you show up with a pre-approval from someone else, you show up with the offers. And they're still within date, like, you know, we just wanna find it yesterday. So when I show all those offers from this week, you know, it's gonna get people motivated. The other thing I would say is, depending on what neighborhood, I pick my neighborhoods by 3 things. One, if I sold there recently, I'll go door knock it. 2, if I got a buyer and I lost the offer. Those are my favorite, because now it's like, okay, you know, and depending on how cool the listing agent is, I'll be like, how many offers you got? And they'll be like, oh, okay, we got over 10 offers. And I'm like, do you mind sharing a few of them? Again, I'm gonna print those out. And I'm gonna bring my buyer's offer and I'm gonna say, hey, you know, we tried to buy your neighbor's house. We got outbidded, but we really, you know, wanna live in this neighborhood. Here's our offers. Have you ever thought about selling? And then some people are like, oh, wow, you know, I didn't know it went for that high, or I saw all those cars next door and, you know, I didn't know what was going on. And now they're ready to sell. So I've got a lot of deals like that. Go ahead.
So you're saying you lost the deal, but you asked the agent if you could get copies of the
Yeah,
offers.
of the
You
other
just
offers.
use like the 1 page and
Yeah,
first page. to
yeah.
show them.
So sometimes they'll send it, most of the time they won't. It depends on the agent. But I just try to get something where I can just show, you know, whoever I'm talking to, like, look, this agent said they had, you know, 5 offers. I got somebody that's ready to go right now. Have you ever thought about selling? And I get a lot of people like that. So I would say, you know, if you lose, if you know, put an offer for a buyer and end up losing, just go door knock that neighborhood. That's the easiest way, in my opinion, because now you're finding somewhere that has demand, and of course, people in that neighborhood are paying attention. The second way is just using like Remind or HomeSnap and just finding neighborhoods that have a lot of equity. So typically, like my markets are like Henry County. A lot of neighborhoods I'm targeting now are like 3-4 years old, like houses that have doubled in the last, you know, 1, 2, 3 years.
Right.
Also, I like older neighborhoods with new construction nearby, because that's always the question too. Where am I gonna go? So it's like, okay, I try to paint the picture for everybody very broadly. It's like, okay, I'm gonna door knock here. You know, these houses may go for 300, but the people probably bought them for 180. Now we got new construction, 375 down the street. So when I pull up, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm looking for somebody that's trying to sell. I got buyers, it's low inventory, you know, the whole spill. And then it's like, and you probably got about 200,000 or 150,000 in equity. So you could sell your home, buy down your interest rate and move to this new construction, and you don't have to change your child's school, or you don't have to change, you know, the area that you live in. So people really like when you connect the dots for them, because they don't want to have to go through the pains or the pressures of where am I gonna go? What do I have to do next? And again, like I use our vendors. So, hey, I got movers. Oh, you know, they're like, well, I don't want to do any repairs. I'm like, okay, well, let's do that pre-inspection. We're gonna find out all the repairs you need. And then I have a contractor that can come in if necessary and do those things for you. So I think the key to getting off market deals or door knocking deals is painting the picture and making it convenient for those sellers. Because again, the house isn't gonna be ready, I would say 85% of the time. So it's gonna need paint, need carpet, pressure washing, I mean, whatever you may think of, but once you put that package together, people tend to really like that. Let me see. Okay, notes. So we went through etiquette, so I wouldn't focus too much on the close. You know, knocking and backing up, tools are gonna be HomeSnap, Remind. Again, HomeSnap is gonna let you favorite those houses, just so you can keep track. Once you keep track, you're gonna, go to AmCards, you know, send them a thank you. Typically, when I talk to people too, when I'm door knocking, I say, hey, do you mind if I put you on a neighborhood report with Command? So, is everyone familiar with that? Okay, so yeah, so typically I'll get their address and I'll say it costs you nothing, it's obligation free, it's gonna send you buy and sell data every month. That's just so you don't have to keep following them up, and bothering them if they're not ready to move right now, but they'll still get that monthly neighborhood report every month, so you'll still be top of mind. The other thing, like I said, printing previous offers, the door hangers, I rarely walk out with like comps and all of that stuff. Really, I just want offers. Like, I want something concrete that says this guy isn't full of baloney. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, when you bring that to people, they're like, okay, because everybody says they have buyers, then they get to listen, and there's no buyers. But if they feel like you got an offer in hand, they're gonna be more motivated. Opportunities, even if somebody in the office, if they sell in the neighborhood that you like I remember one day I was knocking in Peachtree Corners and I saw, I can't remember her name, she used to be at the front desk as well, Kat. And I saw one of her listings and I just knocked on the door, I was like, hey, one of my teammates just sold a house over here, we're looking for more buyers in this area, have you ever thought about selling? So it doesn't matter because most people don't know the difference between this Keller Williams and, North Atlanta or, Atlanta Partners. So you can really just say, okay, I saw a Keller agent sold in this neighborhood. We got more buyers. Have you ever thought about selling? Everything's an opportunity, even for open houses. I always like to go back through my solds list. So I got a big spreadsheet of everybody I closed over the last 5 years. So sometimes I'll go all the way back to like my first sales and then I'll start pulling that neighborhood. And I'm like, man, there's a lot of equities there. And then I'll try to already find a neighborhood that's close to that neighborhood. Because again, you want to paint the picture. So you're like, hey, you got this much equity. Hey, there's another neighborhood, a little newer, a little bigger, a little shinier. You can sell your house and move there. Or if people say they don't want to sell, I say, hey, well, you can rent this house out and you can buy another one. So either way, you can get a transaction. We went to a neighborhood in Decatur, no, it was Ladonia recently, and I sold a lot of the houses, new construction, but now there's a lot of renters. So it's just like, when I knocked on the door, they're like, oh, I'm not the owner. I was like, whoa, well, we're doing a home buyer seminar in June. We should come by, and I got their contacts and emails. So it's like, you can win no matter what when you go door knocking. If you get tenants, invite them to a home buyer seminar. If you get people who don't want to sell, offer them to rent their house out and buy another one. If you get people who do want to sell, find a neighborhood that they can go to. The other thing, I think that's pretty much it. Did you guys have any questions? Or?
Yeah, again, going back to HomeSnap,
Mhm.
the HomeSnap Pro give you a lot of things.
Yeah.
So again, is that app through HomeSnap Pro that you have to pay? Or is
if
it
you
just regular?
step, check now for you. But I mean, Remind does the same thing, it's just Remind.
Well, you can't take it with you. You can't take Remind with you, can you?
Yeah, they have a Remind app, but I haven't used it as much. I think you'll have to have more preliminary notes. But even just coming into. Yeah, even just coming into Remind.
I had HomeSnap Pro for a couple of years and didn't really feel like I used it, so I just dropped I think it was $400 a year, so I just went back. I got the.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it because you can share the app link very easily. People like it, it's very user friendly. You can send messages through.
But wouldn't you rather share your Keller Williams app with them rather than the HomeSnap app, so it brands them already used?
I do a little bit of both, but I prefer HomeSnap, honestly, because HomeSnap is easy for me as an agent. Like, I like to look for houses for my clients, like in the evening, like when I'm off work and I'm on the couch at 6, I'll just flip through HomeSnap and I'll say, let me see what's new. And then I'll send stuff out, and I've got deals like that. Like, I've caught new construction and I'll call the agent, she's like, oh, we just released it, or, oh, it just came back on market. And I'm like, all right, we're going to see it. Let's write an offer. So HomeSnap is just so user friendly and clean that I feel like it's not only easy for other agents, but it's easy for us as well. Even like this house right here. So this withdrawn house, like I would look at something like this if I was trying to pick somewhere to door knock. And I love McDonough. So, I would be in Remind. I don't know why this thing doesn't. Okay. Yeah, so let's see. Listing date, 2007. Let's see if it shows. Yeah, so you see right here, this has 297,000 in equity.
Yeah,
How did you
remind,
know that? Where did you find that information?
remind gives you the second loan, how much, they're always still on the loan, the interest rate, all that
So
stuff.
this is a perfect, like, actually, I'm gonna take a picture of this, because I'm gonna go during this area of McDonough.
It's free.
But,
Thank you.
yeah, how you guys doing? So, you know, it said it was bought, it's owned by a corporation, so it was bought 9 years ago. You guys see that right here? And then it said it has 297,000 in equity. So that's someone who will be very motivated to sell if you can find the next place for them to go. Now, since it's a corporation, they're probably investors. But I mean, you could take that 300,000 and buy 2 more properties easily. So that would be somebody I would call, but even with this house being 2001, that means there's a lot of owners in that neighborhood with similar equity.
Right.
So this is a good door knock neighborhood. So the same thing I would do is, but hey, you know, I saw that, you know, these houses have about 300,000 in equity. Have you guys ever thought about selling? A lot of these people are downsizing, they got kids that are graduating, whatever the case may be. And then you just set something up for them for a place to go. I know there's a lot of new construction down in McDonough. Most people in McDonough now are moving down to Locust Grove. So there's a lot of new construction there too. Just like most people from Stonecrest are moving out to like Covington. Like Covington is booming right now. So it's just like, you know, people in Stonecrest are going to Conyers, people in Conyers are going to Covington. So you just have to create that funnel and then just direct traffic.
When are you gonna send them from, Gwinnett?
Yeah,
From the,
I mean,
up north more like Jefferson or
but I'm seeing a lot of Bethlehem and Loganville, like
Okay.
people are transitioning from
Yeah, yeah.
Snellville
One
to
room.
Loganville, you know, Loganville to Bethlehem. But everything's a push out. So that's the thing. If you find people in Loganville, then you, like, there's a lot of new construction in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. If you can target those neighborhoods where they have this much equity, now you're like, okay, even if you don't want to sell, rent it out, you know, and use the equity to, as a down payment on the next house, or whatever the case may be, but people have options and they just don't know they have options. Any other questions?
so you actually, well, okay. I got it. No, I got it. Thanks.
Any questions, man?
So you're going straight for the kill, basically.
Yeah, always. I mean, I feel like, you know, you get them, you meet face to face, because again, when Mike gave us the data, I think it was like 12 million leads sold, 2 million closings or something like that. So it's almost like 6 agents per person. People are fed up with phone calls. I mean, and I probably take 1,000 calls a week on the Storm Dollar with Red X. And it's like every now and then you'll get somebody, but everybody's like, stop calling me. Like people call me every day, all day. So when you show up in person and you actually have some good stuff to say, people are like, you know, they're bought in because again, there's so much noise, like, you know, text messages, you got people calling, you got emails from random people, but you show up and you say, hey, I'm gonna give you a free home inspection. Hey, I'm gonna give you a free report every month that shows, you know, what your home is worth. Hey, you know, if you got a project you wanna do, I got a contractor that does this or this. Hey, you know, when's the last time you got a quote on your home insurance? Like, you're just showing up as a resource and giving them options.
Right.
And just almost like conditioning them to depend on you for real estate deals.
Right.
Go ahead.
Do you mind sharing the name of the person that does those $75 inspections? So
Yeah, yeah.
they can be.
Now, I don't know if she'll give the same price for everybody, but,
No,
yeah, but I'll share her information. Reach out to me and I'll, text it to you. But yeah, so that's been my, I think that's been my biggest thing. It's just the home inspections, even on a confirmed listing appointment that I get just doing phone calls. You know, I still do the inspection because people, again, most people that reach out to clients are looking to take something. No one's really giving anyone anything. You know what I'm saying? Even with buyers, just like, you know, I got an off-market property. I tell buyers all the time, and that's why I like HomeSnap too, because if you share my app and my buyer is somewhere and they're like, I really like this neighborhood, they can pin it and then I'll see it and I'll go door knock that neighborhood. So a lot of times I get neighborhoods from my buyers. I'm like, hey, where you want to live? And they're like, oh, I really like, this neighborhood in Decatur, Braden Park, I always wanted to live there. Okay. And then, I pull up with my buyer's pre-approval and I start knocking on the door and I say, hey, I got someone who wants to live here. Have you ever thought about selling? But same thing, you just gotta have the proof. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you have to have the pre-approval or previous sold or some, equity, and you gotta use the numbers. Like, it's an emotional thing, so you have to get people going. Like, oh, wow, did you know you had more than 100K equity here? And people are like, wow, 100K, like, it gets them going. And especially like a neighborhood like this, 9 years, my trap would be, hey, I'm seeing you guys have about 300K equity. You've been here 9 years, if you stayed here the last 2 out of 5 years, that money's tax-free. Now you got it. Like, when you say money in tax-free, they're like, yeah. So again, like, you just gotta focus on your buzzwords when you're door knocking. Don't make it too wordy, I just tell people, hey, you got some money, do you wanna make a decision? And they usually buy it or they don't. If they don't, I just put them on a neighborhood.
Right, so understand, you'll go through Remine or Homestead, look for the equity, you'll mark the 10 houses in that neighborhood, let's say they have high equity, you'll just door knock those houses.
Well, no, so like this right here that I just screenshot, I'll do that whole neighborhood. Because again, like, when I'm walking, so I got HomeSnap open, so if somebody just recently bought and they don't have that much equity, I'll be able to see it. But here, I walk around with HomeSnap.
You look at every single house on that side?
No, so what I'll do is, let me see what I can pull. So like, even like this. I'm gonna use this neighborhood at. So something over here, I've never been to this neighborhood, it says Kings Paddock Court, if everybody's familiar, so it says sold recently. Yeah, but when I'm walking through, it has the neighborhood, so it'll tell me what recently sold.
The case paddock, right?
Yeah, that's spaced out.
Doesn't,
So if you,
show me what that home.
Oh. yeah, there it goes. It just, yeah, so what I'll do is, I'll walk by,
The case paddock? Is that what it is?
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
so if I was to do this neighborhood, I would just pull it up. And then I would just go to everything around it. So it's just like, they got one that's over 855, one for 860. And the thing I like about HomeSnap is, it'll say likely to list.
Where is that?
This is in Norcross, 30092.
Oh.
Yeah.
should go right here.
Yeah, so it's, but they say likely to list, depending, like these people right here. So it says 4084 Kings Paddock Court. So it says 16 years owned, we know that's a lot of equity.
Right.
Let's see what they bought it for. They bought it in 2007,
The 95.
they bought it for 570.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But I mean,
that's-
still, that's about 300,000 in equity. That's a nice bang for buck.
Where do you see the equity on this app? Does it show you?
So that one might be a feature of my pro, but for you, what I would do is, yeah, because it didn't even,
Mine has it, right?
well, it says 8 years owned. Yeah, it's not showing the equity on yours. There may be a pro feature. But if you favorite this, like say you're out knocking and you favorite it and then plug it in Remind, it'll show you. So mine just shows, oh, it's mine. You had a question?
Wanted to see
Oh,
what you were
yeah.
showing.
So it's just right here, then it shows, so what they bought it for,
Yeah, I think-
Yes.
so homes now.
Right.
Yeah. homes now. So it's that one. Yes, so it's the app. So you just log in. So now, this actually has the owner's phone number.
After I saw the thought.
So you got the phone number, but we don't get it unless we pay the pro.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to do it through Remind. Go ahead.
You can get the.
Yeah.
With the phone number, with the phone number of the owner on there, does it say it's on the do not call this? or-
Nope, so they're actually not. So it says, and it gives his LinkedIn. Yeah, so it gives his LinkedIn and Facebook information, has their phone number, it's a landline. But, my first attempt would be to call, they don't answer, show up, put a door in it. That's the best part, because if you focus on, 1 or 2 neighborhoods, you can show up, you can put a door hanger, that's touch 1. Now you show up in front of them, that's touch 2, and you talk to them, you send them the AM cards, that's touch 3. Then they got the neighborhood report that's touch forward, and then by then, I mean, you're pretty much in there.
That's right.
Yeah, so, it's just a system, but I would say the biggest thing is, for me that I've learned, this quarter is door knocking on Sundays. When you door knock on Sunday, and I know most people hate working Sundays, I hate working Sundays, but I got, I think, 6 listings now, I got 3 listing appointments this weekend. And I got about 5 people that are talking about listing within my Sprayberry neighborhood. So my thing is, either you're gonna be out during the week driving with buyers and, you know, trying to win and trying to do this or that, or you can take Sunday when everybody's home, there's no traffic, and you might be, you know, burning up in the sun. Go ahead.
Up to what sales price typically do you door knock? Because door knocking, $800,000 homes, you gotta walk a lot.
Yeah,
Because they're separated, you go up the hill and then down, yeah.
it depends. For me right now, my strategy was 350 and under because it was just hot. You know, I know it's so hard to find. So I know if I get something in that range, it's gone. Like even the house I just got in Riverdale, I had 20 showings, I got 3 offers already. So I just, you know, it's hot and it's easy and most people can size up after that. If you go bigger, like I did a house, neighborhood in Conyers, they call the cops on this. Yeah, it was me, Mariah, Terrence, it was like 4 of us. And they called the cops and were like, there's some suspicious people out here selling something or, you know, by the time the cops came, I was already done door knocking, but I had all the door hangers in my hand and I was like, I sold you in this neighborhood like 2 years ago.
Sure.
And, yeah, so you just gotta be prepared. Also look out for like the no solicited signs. Like, I think the meanest area I've ever door knocked was Lawrenceville. I mean, those people were mean.
I've been thrown out of subdivisions and I'm proud of it, because I think if you don't do this long enough, you've never been thrown out, you never
Oh,
been,
yeah.
I don't care, yeah, okay, sure.
The guy who called on this, I think was a realtor. Because he
Right.
called a realtor, there's no solicited.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, so.
Same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
Cops say to you, just
I
stop.
mean, they just said, what are you doing? I said, we just finished, but I sold a house over and they left. But I mean, it probably could have been a different scenario. Me and Clifford, I think he just joined the office and he was saying that he talked to a kid that was like door knocking at Alpharetta. He said like the cops hemmed him up and, yeah, so you just gotta be careful in higher neighborhoods. Go in a group. That's always good because when people, you know, are like, what are you doing? And I can have like, again, so I'm back far enough where people can come out of their house.
Yeah,
So they'll come out and then I'll say, yeah, you see me and my team, and it'll be like 3 or 4 of us all door knocking. They're like, oh, okay. And it's just like, we're not, you know, there's no pressure. Everything's obligation free. We're just trying to find something for our buyers. And I feel like if you get a listing door knocking, it's 10 times easier because people met you in the field. So they
Sure.
already know you're gonna work
Direct.
hard. Yeah.
yeah,
Like all of my door knocking listing appointments, I have yet to use my listing presentation. Like when I just go in, you know, I do the home inspection and then, you know, I find out why they want to leave and stuff like that. And I don't have to use a listing presentation again because they feel like I've been out here door knocking, they
Right.
see my work ethic and they trust me. So I feel like that's easier because now you go in and you're competing with 10 other agents for making a phone call. They don't know you from a can of paint, but they see you outside, you're sweating and you're
Yeah.
putting signs up. Yeah, so they're like, okay, this is our guy. Trying to think.
so in high-end subdivisions, they call the cops on you, or you get thrown out, like it's happened to me.
Yeah,
Or if you go to the country, like in Monroe, they pull a shotgun on you, so it's just.
Oh, yeah,
take,
yeah,
you know,
you gotta-
shoot your poison.
you gotta be, for me, I feel like I've had the best luck in Henry and Gwinnett. But I think you just gotta be strategic and you gotta watch those no solicited. 'Cause, I mean, Lawrenceville, they were really mean, man. I was like, I'm trying to, like, my client was trying to downsize of the elderly lady. And this guy and this lady, I mean, they just were going crazy. And I'm just like, oh, you can't bring the son and this, that. And I'm like, hey, man, she has to be out. I'm just trying to help her find something, you know. Do you want to sell or not? And, you know, I just left. But,
Well, in some ways you can say, I'm not selling anything.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just here
Well,
if.
But,
we do, but yeah.
yeah,
We're not selling, we're not gonna sell something.
go ahead.
What part of Lawrence?
Can't even remember. I had just told something over there. Man, I gotta find it. Hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, but Lawrenceville was by far the meanest area I've been to. Everybody else has been pretty cool, but yeah, those people in Lawrenceville, they just were not having it that day.
For me, it's been Gifford.
And you
Oh.
said the other day, Ben almost got arrested in Alpharetta.
Yeah, yeah. So I haven't went to Alpharetta. I probably won't go to Alpharetta. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just not there yet. But you know, it's up to your comfort zone. For me, I feel like I like neighborhoods. Again, if we're 350 and under, most of those people are starter homes. Now they're getting ready to upgrade, so they're more reasonable. If you go into more sophisticated neighborhoods, I haven't thought of an approach yet, but I mean, I feel like, you know, if you offer them something like a home warranty or, you know, something like that, that may come across as something that's appeasing, but for the people in that 325, money's burning a hole in their pocket, you know, they're still pretty reasonable. And again, they want convenience. So they're like, I don't wanna, like, I wanna sell the house as is. I don't wanna do all of this or that. And, you know, when we do that home inspection, I don't make any promises until I get the home inspector. Like, if we get inside the house and it's just paint carpet, like, oh, this is a piece of cake. But we get in there and like AC's broke and the roof is gone, you know, now we'll start orchestrating like, hey, Todd, can you come by, look at this roof, see what we can do? And, you know, put a plan together based off that. But I think the biggest thing is selling the vision to, you know, bring people full circle. It's because it's like getting the house ready is already such a burden. It's like, oh, I gotta paint, I gotta move this, I gotta do that. Where am I gonna go? So tell them where to go. Tell them that you have the contractors. Tell them that you got the home inspection. Tell them that it's low inventory and tell them that rates are about to drop. So, you know, they can get a house and they can still sell their house now for a good amount of money.
Yes, where do you find new construction for 375, right?
A lot of times it's on the south side. A lot of my business is on the south side, but I mean, even with, houses, like I've been looking at one neighborhood in Snellville. And, I think when everybody bought, they were like 220, now they're like 375, and they're doing new construction down the street from me. So it's just like, I'm gonna turn over that whole neighborhood. The best neighborhood, the neighborhoods with HOAs that people hate. Like I got one right now where everybody's like, we hate the HOA, we're out of here. So I'm gonna try to transition that whole neighborhood. But I got that from door knocking. And because I've sold something over there previously, you know, every time I knock on the door and I speak with someone, I say, hey, does the HOA still suck? And they're like, hey, what? Like, so you gotta get them like emotional. When
What's
you-
the precedent?
Yeah, so it's like precedent, like, let's get out of here. And, yeah, I got a bunch of people who are like, yo, this summer, you know, we're getting out of here, so. Any other questions?
Questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Usually you have to find another place for.
Oh, yeah, most of them are buy sales. The people I got now on my Stockbridge listing, they said they're gonna rent for 6 months, which, you know, I tell them not to, but, yeah, some people decide they wanna rent, some people move out of state. It just depends, like, if you find a neighborhood like this, where it's 2001, 2000, a lot of times it's elderly people, so you'll get those people who are like, I wanna move home with my kids, or I wanna move closer to my kids or my daughter. And I had a few of those, right? I had to like help them pack their house up because no family came. It was, I mean, that's just like the house I just left. Like, you know, I had to move all the stuff out. The daughter left in a mess. So it just depends, but I would say probably 85% of the time it's a buy sell. Yeah. And I tell my clients, and you don't have to do this, but I say, hey, if I find a buyer, I'll do it for 5%. I rebate them back one. So. Any other questions?
You doubling the deal?
Yeah. So I'll say,
If you did have a bar.
yeah, I've done 2 so far.
How do you?
But,
Something like that.
I mean, the biggest thing is, you know, you represent one as the client, one as the customer, but you can do the open house, or sometimes I'll legit have a buyer. So if I got the buyer already, then I don't try to take the listing. Like, I'm like, I'm not gonna list it, like, we're just gonna do this amongst us. I'll represent the buyer as the as the client, and I'll represent the seller as the customer, and we can just do it off market. And sometimes some people are like, I wanna sell, but I don't wanna list it. I don't wanna sign in my yard. I don't want people coming in. But you just gotta have your tool belt. But again, if you're gonna pull that car, you gotta have a legit buyer. And you gotta have a buyer that's not too picky. Because you might get a buyer, you know, you might talk it up, and then the buyer gets there and it's like, oh, I'm not interested. Now you kind of look like a loser. So it's just like, yeah, like you gotta really, yeah. Yeah, but it's just like depends on the person. It's kind of like once you start that path, unless upfront, you're like, hey, I have a buyer, and if my buyer doesn't buy, then would you be open to listing it? But I feel like once you get in front of them, you kind of have to, you know, you have to put it all on the table. That way you set the expectation. Any other questions?
I've had it happen where I found a buyer, the buyer didn't like it, and then like the sellers turned on me, and like I could get the listing, and they listed it with somebody else.
See, that's what I'm saying. 'Cause this is like, you only get one shot, and if you leave that bad taste in their mouth, it kind of like frees up on you. But I've been in a situation where I had a buyer go under contract, they found something else they like, and then I called the seller and I was like, wait, let's not terminate. I called my other buyer, and then I swapped them out. So like I sold the same house twice, but it was just like, you know, that was like one of the luck of the draw situations. But I'll be going out Sunday. I'm gonna door knock the neighborhood around my listing in Riverdale. They're all under 325, so you know, if anybody wants to join, feel free.
What time Sunday?
Open house is at 2, so I'll probably be there like 12:31.
What's your,
Contract,
One more time.
contact information.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll share it. Let me see if I can pull it up on my home now. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
what's your open rate, JC?
Open rate on email?
Doors.
On Sunday, it's pretty high. I'd say 8 out of 10. Yeah, Sunday is like the day. Like, if you're gonna go any day, like before I used to go Friday, early afternoon. I thought this had oh, there goes my number.
You better not have kids, JC, you go for door knock on Sundays anymore, man.
Yeah, man.
Just pass
We
it,
need
go, 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 go,
Oh, I'll pass it.
yeah. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I hate working on Sundays. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, it makes my stomach hurt. I hate it with all my heart. But again, what do you hate more? Driving around with buyers at 5 p.m. in traffic, or door knocking on Sunday, getting a listing, and just wait for the offers to come in?
It's a frame of mind. If you
Yeah.
think of Sunday as a Monday instead of a Sunday, I mean, I know it's,
That,
then, you know,
and for me, it's just like, you know, I feel like real estate every year, you gotta figure it out. Like, every year it changes. This year was like the high interest rates, and this was one of my slowest starting years. Like usually, you know, my numbers are a lot higher, and I had to get creative. So now it's just like, you know, the payments are so expensive. Buyers are even pickier because they don't want to buy something that have a big payment. And then it's just like, you know, a lot of people are coming off the bench, so it's a lot of multiple offers. So it's like you gotta compete with little money, high rates, then limited options. You might as well just go door knock. And it's like if you buy leads, you got, you know, 6 agents to 1 person. So I mean, what are the odds, right? Even marketing on Facebook, because I was a big Facebook marketer, and I kind of slowed that down. I just started door knocking because nothing's gonna be getting face to face with people. Like you just can't top that.
Do you want to slide up where we can see your email address someplace?
Yeah.
So we can get that contact work. Like that was just your phone, but there you go.
Wait, email, I don't even think it shows my email. My email is my first name, so John.Claude@KW.
Just John.Claude, not, does it?
Yeah, it's John.Claude@KW.
This our, how do you pronounce that last name?
This argument,
This argument?
yeah,
It's free.
so yeah, I'm patient. But, yeah, I would say Sunday's the best day, honestly. Saturday might be okay, but Sundays, that's everybody's off day. So I feel like go Sunday around 11, 12. If you worry about people being in church, you probably can go later, but I feel like Sunday around 11 has been good to me. And then, yeah, that's it.
80% is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, everybody opens on Sunday. I mean, even if you cold call on Sunday, I mean, some people will cut you out because they're like, hey, it's Sunday. But again, the amount of people that answer the phone, lead generation on a Sunday is amazing.
Really?
Yeah,
I should start working Sunday and taking off Monday.
yeah, I tried that, but then I'm still busy Monday. Take that. But my goal for this summer is 35 listens, so I'm saying that out loud so you can hold me accountable, but I'm a door knock every day, Saturday and Sunday now. Because again, when rates drop, there's no inventory, so for me, that sweet spot on the 350 is like
Right.
all day. And I like Henry and Gwinnett because I feel like people love those schools. Especially like I've been trying to find a neighborhood to door knock that's in that Brookwood school district. You get that, gone.
Where is that lower?
It's a combination of Lilburn, Snellville, and Lawrenceville. Yeah, so it's like a big three.
30044, 47, and 30039 in Snellville.
Yeah, that's almost a guarantee, because you can door knock, yeah, Lawrenceville is being. If you can get it, I mean, yeah, I live like 5 minutes.
Loganville, Snellville, everything?
Oh, yeah, because again, it's just like Peachtree Corners is saturated for me, every
area is saturated.
but now, see, Loganville, Snellville is, it's far, most people don't want to live that far. So Loganville, Snellville, you're still getting a really big house for the same 350. I mean, the neighborhood I knocked, they got some 5 bedrooms, like 2,800 square feet, and the schools are good. So it's just like, you're not getting that in Peachtree Corners. You're not getting that in Lawrenceville. But if you go Snellville, Loganville, and they still have a lot of room for appreciation. So I feel like for me, even going down to Henry County, it's an hour. It's an hour for me to go Stockbridge, an hour to go to Hampton. But again, under 350, good schools, big houses, big backyards, that old stuff, people like formal living, formal dining, and it just makes sense for me. So I think you just gotta get niche. You gotta figure out, you know, again, low-key neighborhoods. I like them. 20 years old is ideal. Well, go ahead.
Know a lot about Loganville. What do you know about Monroe area?
I haven't. I've just started getting people who are pushing out that way,
Yeah.
but I don't know too much about it. To really say, I got one person now that's like looking at high room. So I've been getting, again, I feel like every year, like last year I sold a lot in Dawsonville. And, what was that, White County, and it was weird, you know, so it's just, it depends. I think every year the directions change for me. But I'm getting a lot of Decula now, and they got some nice houses, so I start knocking like when I go out there. But I would just say, bring people with you, get like 3 or 4 people, it's a competition, and it's a win-win for everybody, because if I bring Matt, and Matt gets a listing, and I got a buyer, all right, now we got the deal already. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like, okay, if I get a listing, well, now Matt can do the open house. So it's just like a way to keep everybody engaged, but you can blow through neighborhoods in like an hour. Like we did a neighborhood, I think it was like 40 or 50 houses. We did it in like 30 minutes. I did,
Did you use a scooter?
oh no, I just walked. I try to find neighborhoods that are closer, but if you're going like Lilburn, that's pretty far apart.
Yeah.
But Loganville, the new subdivisions, I try to really not subdivision. So it's just like, if you do subdivisions, most of the time, they're close to each other. But if you start going to like Lilburn, or Tucker, like I got a list of appointments tomorrow. They're a bit more spread out.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is keeping track, stay organized. When you talk to people, as soon as you walk away, you need to go on home snap, you know, hit favorite. And then I would even open your iPhone notes or whatever notes on your phone and just say, oh, you know, talk about selling, talk about kids graduating next year, whatever. And then get that into your, like, soon as I'm done on Sunday, I come to the office or go to my command and I get those people in there, I get those notes out and get it over with. Like, do not let it linger. Don't, you know, go door knock and then go get, you know, food and forget, and, you know, stay on top of it, because people are gonna be like, okay, you knocked on my door, then boom, I got the handwritten note, boom, now I'm getting the neighborhood report, now they're bought into.
Do you have somebody who does that stuff for you?
Yes and no, it depends on how specific it is. I think because if it's a neighborhood where I feel like it's really hot, then I'll stay on top of it. But if it's something where I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a drip and it's not as urgent, then I'll have somebody do it for me. But it just depends. Yeah. Any other questions?
Did you ever not door knock, but just did door hangers instead without?
Nah, door hangers are expensive. I mean, you're gonna spend like 200 and, you know, some odd dollars. So really, I'm not giving you a business card unless it's for someone else. Like, I need their info, like I learned that from, I forgot his name. But yeah, shout out to him. But yeah, he just said, don't give out business, because I was buying the Move business cards and they're kind of expensive. They're really nice looking. And you just put too much power in someone's hand when you give them a business card. So it's just like, they're like, oh yeah, I got someone looking for a house, give me a card, I'll have them call you. I was like, oh, what's their name? What's their number? So I can make sure I can look out for their call when they call me.
Yeah, I have a
You
guy
know?
did a lecture class, he'd say, oh, I don't have my card, but give me yours, let me get your information.
Yeah, you got to, because otherwise.
Want to get that.
So it's just like, if I don't have to waste a door hanger, I won't, because again, they're expensive, man, and they're slow to come. Like, I'm gonna have to go door knock this weekend and I'm out of hanger. So it takes like, I think 2 weeks for them to come. Go ahead.
I had an old sales manager years ago that if the call wasn't going very well and his card was on the table, he'd take it back. He said, you're not gonna call me, all right? No, I'll take your card.
Materials cost a lot of money. So you're not, even if I door knock and someone says, oh, no, I'm not interested, I'm never selling. I'm like, okay, I'll take that door. We can see, you're not gonna use it. So, yeah. But anything else? Oh, we did take a whole hour. Well, we like 5 minutes. Good job, Brian. Go knock some doors. Sure, yes, sir. I'm gonna go.